sharing views on the ramifications of the Walvis Bay and Ndola Lubumbashi development corridor and the Lobito corridor transportation facilitation agreements. Having reviewed this document, we offer the following comments for your consideration. So the agreement has several important ramifications for Zambia. This includes firstly transit traffic. So Zambia's landlocked position is addressed through Article 6, which allows for transit traffic through the territory of other parties. We believe that this is important for Zambia to access seaports for its imports and exports. It will ensure that goods passing through other countries' territories are not subject to undue delays or restrictions. Point number 2, facilitated trade, according to Article 7. The agreement promotes simplified customs procedures, reducing delays and costs for traders in Zambia. The agreement creates a framework for facilitating trade and transport through the corridor. This is crucial for Zambia's economic development as it provides efficient and cost-effective transportation routes for its goods to reach international markets. There will also be easier access to international markets, and reduced trade barriers can boost Zambian exports. I'll jump to number 4, environmental protection. Article 35 highlights the importance of harmonizing and implementing measures to minimize environmental degradation arising from the corridor's use. This is essential for mitigating any potential environmental impact of increased transportation activities in the corridor. The commitments to minimize environmental degradation are important for Zambia as it seeks to maintain and protect its environment while expanding transportation infrastructure. Point number 5, infrastructure development. Article 37 encourages measures to enhance infrastructure development in the corridor. This is vital for Zambia's long-term economic growth as better infrastructure facilitates trade and transport. More specifically, Article 27 emphasizes the development of rail transport with private sector participation and seamless railway services. This is essential for Zambia's landlocked status and its reliance on rail transport for moving goods. I'll jump to page 4. Point number 7, sovereignty and compliance. So the agreement acknowledges Zambia's right to fulfill its obligations under international conventions and to implement national measures necessary for public safety, national security, and public health. So this particular article upholds Zambia's sovereignty. So these ramifications illustrate the potential benefits for Zambia. However, successful implementation and effective utilization of the agreement will be key to realizing the benefits. At the same time, while the agreement provides a comprehensive framework for trade and transport cooperation in the corridor, there are some areas that could benefit from further inclusion or elaboration. So these are some of the gaps that we believe should be considered for enhancement in the agreement. The first point, digital and technological integration. The agreement does not address the use of modern technologies for customs clearance, tracking shipments, or facilitating digital payments. Given the importance of technology in trade and transportation, incorporating provisions related to the use of technology such as digital customs processes, electronic tracking, and data exchange could improve efficiency and reduce barriers. And point number 2, infrastructure financing and investment. The agreement could be more specific about mechanisms for financing infrastructure development in the corridor. The agreement discusses infrastructure development but could provide more specific details on funding mechanisms and investment commitments. Clarifying how investments will be mobilized and allocated among the parties would further promote infrastructure enhancement and would be valuable for long-term corridor sustainability. And point number 3, environmental sustainability and climate change. So while the agreement does mention environmental protection, more specific provisions on the enforcement of environmental standards and sustainable transport practices could be included to mitigate the potential environmental impact of increased transportation activities. Adding provisions in this regard would align with international trends. Point number 4, social and labor standards. Addressing issues related to labor standards and working conditions for those employed in the transport sector would contribute to a more holistic approach, ensuring the well-being of those engaged in transportation activities. The agreement primarily focuses on trade and transport facilitation, but doesn't explicitly address the welfare of workers in the transport sector or social considerations related to their rights, working conditions, and safety. Number 5, emergency response mechanisms. In the event of accidents, natural disasters, or other emergencies along the corridor, the agreement could include provisions for coordinated emergency response, ensuring the safety of people and the environment. Number 6, involvement of local communities. The agreement could elaborate on the involvement and consultation of local communities impacted by corridor development to ensure their interests and concerns are taken into account. And number 7, the role of the private sector, the agreement could provide a clearer framework for the involvement of the private sector in the development and operation of the corridor. This would help leverage private sector expertise and resources effectively. Then we move on to the Lobito Corridor Transit Transportation Facilitation Agency Agreement. Below are some of the most important ramifications of the agreement for Zambia. So number one, facilitated trade. This agreement aims to simplify and harmonize trade and transport documentation, align commodity codes, and reduce the number of documents required for traffic and transit. This is according to Article 9. For Zambia, this will lead to smoother trade operations and reduced administrative burdens, making it easier to conduct cross-border trade. It can also help reduce costs and delays associated with transit operations. Point number two, facilitated transit. The agreement allows the use of means of transport registered in another contracting party for traffic and transit on its own territory. This is according to Article 10. This facilitates the flow of goods through Zambia via the Lubito corridor, as it permits the use of various modes of transport and encourages the participation of foreign transport companies in transit operations. Zambia can allow the use of means of transport registered in other contracting parties for traffic and transit on its own territory, which can enhance transportation flexibility and efficiency. I'll jump to page 6. Point number 4, equal treatment. The agreement mandates the contracting parties treat means of transport and nationals of other contracting parties equally in terms of services, charges, and financial obligations, according to Article 10. So this ensures that Zambian nationals and transport companies receive fair treatment in other member states of the agreement. And then point number 6, customs and transit facilitation. The agreement covers customs and transit facilitation and also establishes technical committees to handle these aspects. These provisions will lead to more efficient customs procedures in Zambia and at border crossings, reducing transit times. Then we've also listed some of the areas that either require strengthening or that might be missing. So point number 1, environmental and sustainability provisions. The agreement does not appear to include specific provisions related to environmental standards, sustainability, or eco-friendly transportation practices, including provisions for environmentally friendly transportation, carbon emissions reduction, and the preservation of national resources could be a valuable addition, especially given the growing global focus on sustainability and environmental protection. Point number 3, infrastructure development and maintenance. While the agreement mentions infrastructure in Article 19, more specific provisions related to the development, maintenance, and funding of infrastructure along the corridor might be beneficial. This could include commitments to invest in infrastructure improvements and maintenance. Ensuring proper infrastructure is essential for efficient trade and transit. Number 5, coordination with regional bodies. The agreement could include provisions for coordination with existing regional economic communities such as SADC to ensure alignment with broader regional development and trade goals. Then number 6, corruption and bribery. Addressing issues related to corruption and bribery is crucial to ensure the integrity of transit operations. The agreement could include anti-corruption measures and mechanisms for reporting and addressing corrupt practices in cross-border trade. So in conclusion, the two agreements offer substantial benefits for Zambia, such as enhanced transportation infrastructure and efficient trade facilitation. They address key issues like transit traffic, trade facilitation, infrastructure development, environmental protection, and sovereignty. However, to fully realize these benefits, successful implementation and utilization are crucial. Furthermore, it's essential to consider areas for improvement in both agreements. This includes incorporating digital and technological integration, specifying financing mechanisms, addressing environmental sustainability and climate change, focusing on social and labor standards, establishing emergency response mechanisms, involving local communities, and engaging the private sector effectively. Ultimately, the two agreements are of paramount importance for Zambia's economic development and connectivity. They provide a framework for efficient trade and transportation, contributing to Zambia's growth, trade competitiveness, and environmental sustainability. It is vital that Zambia and the involved parties address these areas of enhancement to ensure the agreements meet the evolving needs of the region and maximize the potential benefits. Thank you.
We want to appreciate your elaborate presentation, and maybe just one point of clarification. As we establish both corridors, the establishment seem to center mostly on the movement of the resources out of the country, out of the three countries, maybe to the outside world. You as policy analysts, what would be your submission so that these materials, they do not go out of the countries without any value additions that could produce the benefits that the people want to see once the corridors are established? Because we are talking of employment, we are talking about establishment of industries. Now, if materials will go in raw form, then how do we establish? So what is your position, or what is your say on the value additions on the raw materials that are going out, or what should the country do in order to add value to the raw materials that may be going out?
So it's true that these corridors, mostly like we experiencing right now, most of our resources, I think for all countries, go as raw materials because our manufacturing base is still small. That's something that even in our research we've acknowledged. But nonetheless, if you look at the 8th National Development Plan, I think under the economic transformation strategic development area, one of the key areas of development has been to expand our manufacturing base, as well as also expand the copper and non-copper subsectors. That's just an example. So in the expansion of non-copper sectors, that also should include value addition to our goods and services, to our goods, especially natural resources that are going out of the country. So it's something that as PMRC we continue to be able to say, as we are also planning to go into some of these agreements that Zambia signed to the CFTA, the African Continental Free Trade. We need to make sure that some of the resources, whatever we're exporting out there within Africa, outside Africa, should be added to it. So it's important then that as we are signing some of these agreements like the corridors, we ensure that we expand our manufacturing base to ensure that our goods, our natural resources go out there already value added. Yeah, so we are with you on this one.